How do people determine what is right and what is wrong?
John, thank you for that question, because we all grow up with this question on what is right and what is wrong. And what you determine what is right and wrong, that is your moral compass.
Yes, and with all the information out there, some people refers to the Bible, some to the Quran, and some to their own set of principles.
Yes.
I think that's where feelings come in, because some people use their feelings to determine what is right and what is not right.
Yes.
And that's what makes it difficult, because in the morning you can feel one way, the afternoon you can feel another way, and then what do you really use to discern what is right from wrong?
And I think it is important for parents to use their moral authoritative compass in the right way, because if they use it in a wrong way, it will have an adverse negative effect.
Yes, and it's important that fathers determine what that is.
Yes,
Yes.
because at a young age we have seen that fathers play an essential role in teaching your children what is right and wrong. And in this module we're going to look at how a father can play that role to determine their children's moral compass.
When you think of the word authority, what comes to your mind? A lot of people's notion of authority is someone like a military commander barking orders and demanding unquestioning loyalty. For some, it's the idea of a person who is at the center of the universe and that all others revolve around that person in submission and conformity. There are those whose experience with their authorities are not pleasant. They have experienced mistreatment or abuse from their parents, teachers, and employers. And this have led them to an attitude of distrust, even disdain towards those in authority. The mix of authority and pride, the authority and self-interest, authority and dominance has done damage. The brutality of corporal punishment by parents, physical and verbal abuse, the force of military intrusion, the rape of women, the pain of abusive, misused power has crippled our understanding of authority. And this is why a lot of people are indignant and rebellious towards people in positions of authority. But pure authority exists. Authority was never meant for destruction. The purpose of authority is to combat evil with good.
There are four big learning points that we will take away from this whole principle of establishing moral authority. The first would be, authority comes from the demonstration of submission to authority. Two would be authority strikes home when it is for the benefit of those who are under your authority. Third would be, authority has clarity. And then the fourth would be authority always has clarity of purpose. There's a reason for why we have authority and why we exercise authority. Okay, so that's what we're going to do in this session.
Fathers are so busy trying to make money for their children, and their authority, they lose the power of establishing the moral authority in the life of a child. Let's see what the Bible speaks about this. In the book of Psalms 101, from verse 2 to 4, it said, I will be careful to lead a blameless life. When will you come to me? I will conduct the affairs of my house with a blameless heart. Verse 3 says, it said, I will not look with approval on anything that is vile. I hate what faithless people do. I will have no part in it. Verse 4 says, the perverse of heart shall be far from me. I will have nothing to do with what is evil.
Fundamentally, authority must be moral. This is why it's called moral authority. For without a moral code, a deep-seated commitment to integrity and values, the person in authority tends to misuse the power given to him. So now, the question is, where do we derive the measurement of justice and truth and righteousness? Where do we get the moral compass that tells us this is right or this is wrong? One theory that describes individuals' moral system is the moral foundation theory, or MFT. MFT postulates that every individual has an innate or intuitive sense of what is right and what is wrong, such as, for instance, care and harm. People know intuitively that it is right to care and protect others and not to harm them. People know that it is right to be fair, to play by the rules, and not to cheat people. People know that it is right to be loyal to your family, to a close group of people, friends, to a country, and not to betray them. People know that it is right to submit to legitimate authority and tradition and not to be subversive. People know that the sanctity and value of certain things and not to degrade or destroy these things. So people, even without any external influences, have these innate characteristics that are built into them.
If a child does not know what is right from what is evil, if a child lacks the father's moral authority in their life, such child will do anything with their life.
And C.S. Lewis in Mere Christianity also, in that book points us to why he believes there is a God, and primarily it's because of all these notions of justice and righteousness and love and mercy and integrity that almost every culture holds. And so we need parents and fathers especially, you and I, to set the right example, to know why to know what is our moral compass, why we need it, to set it, and to guide our children in their ability to also follow a moral compass.
As fathers, we need to start working together and see how can we help our children have a good moral value in their life, in their walk with God, in the relationship with people, in our community. Because our home produces children that goes out and infiltrate the neighborhood that infiltrates the community, that infiltrates our nation, that infiltrates the world.
Now, the first characteristic of moral authority is an attitude of submission, a submission to a higher loyalty. Pure authority comes from a self-denying submission to a higher mission and loyalty. It is not an authority from above, okay, where the leader is on top looking down on the people below with a domineering attitude. He does not lord it over and belittle the people and determine for himself what he thinks is good for them. Such leadership is not inspiring and will result to a lack of trust and confidence. But a person with moral authority leads from under. He leads from under a higher authority and under the people whom he leads. This means he submits to the values and principles of a higher authority and then in the process lifts others up to a better position in life.
We cannot exercise authority if we are ourselves not first submitted to a higher authority. One of the greatest dangers, in the past 50 years is to see dictators that are beholden to no one. Lord Acton speaks of, there's this well-known phrase by Lord Acton, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. So who are the people that can hold you accountable, especially if you're in a position of power? And if you're a father, then you do have power. You do have authority positionally. The question is, who keeps you in check? And the first person that should keep you in check should be God, of course. So pure authority comes from a self-denying submission to a higher mission and loyalty, as we see in Luke 22.
But moral authority does not abdicate power either. I have observed this in a lot of families where the moral authority comes from the mother. She makes all the decisions with regards to the family. She also is a spiritual leader because she is more concerned with the character development of her children, and she brings them to church. If you observe the posture of Jesus, the Apostle Matthew wrote that the crowds were amazed at Jesus' teaching because he taught as one who had authority. His authority was clear. He did not abdicate his moral responsibility like some fathers do, but at the same time, he never singled himself as the source of authority either. Notice his words. By myself, I can do nothing. John chapter 5, verse 30. I do nothing on my own, but speak just what the Father has taught me. John chapter 8, verse 28. I am not seeking glory for myself. John 8:50. I seek not to please myself, but him who sent me. John 5:30. I do not accept praise from men. John 5:41. I did not come to be served, but to serve. Mark chapter 10, verse 45. For Jesus, the source of his authority comes from the Father. It is from him that he gets his confidence, his authoritative posture.
Authority strikes the home when it is for the benefit of those who are under the authority. They will respect the authority when they perceive that this authority is for their benefit. Authority has clarity of inner and outer conviction, upper inner voice that is centered with wisdom. Authority has clarity in purpose. When there is an authority that you are under, the authority is in charge of what you do. The authority tells you how to do what you need to do. The authority puts you in line with your life.
So as a father, you uphold the values and principles by establishing rules in the household, but you do so not for your benefit, but its intention is to make every way possible to bring your family to the promised land. Not your promised land, but God's promised land. There's a difference between the two. Because our dreams, our desires for our children may be good, but they are not the best. We may have good intentions for our children, but it may be tainted with selfishness and pride. A person with moral authority guides his children to the dream that God has for them, not his personal dream. Since God created our children, he knows what is best for them, and it is he who will determine their path, their direction in life, so that they can prosper and accomplish his mission on earth. Moral authority ushers in a better life for everyone.